Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Nathan ELEMENTofFROST, and we are back here yet again doing another episode prediction video for this week's up-and-coming episode of Fear the Walking Dead. This is Season 2, Episode 4, entitled Blood in the Streets. Okay, so without further ado, my reviews and predictions and everything like that do contain spoilers. It's pretty hard to predict a future episode of Fear the Walking Dead without spoiling some things. So, with that being said, if you guys stay here, it's on you. So go check out the other episodes if you guys haven't, and then come back. That's only what makes sense. That's just my personal opinion. But hey, watch it if you want to. Anyway, we always start off with a synopsis, so if you guys want to follow along, AMC.com, you guys can go to the Fear the Walking Dead page and click on the episode there. And you guys can follow along with the synopsis. You guys can see the sneak peek and the promo there as well as I will link it in the description below. If you guys want to check out the sneak peek and the promo, we will go over that momentarily. But as for the synopsis, it says, a family in distress boards the Abigail. Strand branches off, and his past begins to emerge. Nick searches for an associate of Strand's. Okay, so, just from the synopsis, a lot of our questions have actually been answered, you know, from the sneak peek and the promo side of things, okay? So, a family in distress boards the Abigail. Strand branches off, and his past begins to emerge. Nick searches for an associate of Strand. Okay, so right off the bat, let's go ahead and get into the promo here and start, thinking about what could happen. Right off the bat, the most important things that stand out in this promo is that a family on a lifeboat or some sort of, boat, like little tiny boat, not like a yacht or not like a speedboat, but, one of those blow-up ones, right? Or whatever you want to call them, are in the water. Rafts, I suppose, is what you could say. Rafts. They're in the water, and they look up at the boat, look up at the Abigail, and say that they need some help, okay? And at the moment, Chris and I believe it was Alicia, could be wrong, was looking over, and Chris actually momentarily said, should I shoot them? What should I do here? Should we let them onto the boat? I know we're not supposed to let anybody on, like, type of thing. And he was really questioning, what he should do. But the fact that he said, should I shoot them, sort of concerned me. So maybe that was a little snippet, from another part of the episode where they were actually, doing something to their group that was, life-threatening or, something like that. And it sort of leads me to believe that it is, you know what I mean? The fact that the synopsis says a family in distress boards the Abigail sort of leads me to believe to what we see next in this promo. And that is the fact that we see multiple things going on, like shit literally hitting the fan on board the Abigail. And tensions are high, stress definitely is running rapid. And at one point we even get to see someone, we don't know who it is, we just see an arm, which is why I'm assuming that it might be, this new family or whatever. They might be bad people. This could be our first encounter with a quote-unquote bad group, right? This could definitely be. And that'll definitely be interesting as well to see how our group handles like a person-on-person encounter rather than, them fighting zombies and walkers, stuff like that, floaters, whatever you guys want to call them. I think that'll definitely be interesting, right? So we actually get to see somebody holding a gun to Chris's head, and Chris is basically, signaling for help, like screaming for help, stuff like that. And again, we get to see multiple times that like Travis is, sitting there on the floor, most likely being held at gunpoint because he's not really doing anything. He's sort of sitting there, like hands up, stuff like that. And he's like, you're making a big mistake. Starts talking, and that's what leads me to believe that this family that is quote unquote boarding the Abigail, a family in distress, was most likely playing possum, or they could have been a family that just wanted to actually seek, refuge, and then having to deal with Strand, constantly either wanting to kill them or dump them overboard, could have pushed them to do something. But in my personal opinion, I guess either way, it could go that way, because Strand is just that type of person. We actually seen him cut Alex loose at the end of last episode. She was actually just getting, tugged behind and towed behind by the Abigail when she was in that, little dinghy, I guess, with Jake. And he just straight up went up there and cut the roof loose with a fucking a meat cleaver or whatever you want to call it, right? So we've seen him do some pretty drastic things, and that definitely could play out into this as well. Maybe this is why this family is really wanting to maybe try to take the boat from them or just hurt them in some way. We actually get to see Strand panicking, running up to the top of the boat, I don't know what you want to call it, wherever I guess the control room, I suppose, running up to that area where we actually seen Daniel digging inside of the chest before, finding that map and, that route to Baja, and actually finding a rifle in there as well, an AR-15. I believe it was an AR-15. Could be wrong. Totally could be wrong. I don't think I am. I think it was an AR-15. But again, I could be wrong. I know my guns mostly, but I'm a little iffy on them, okay? I'm Canadian, right? There's not much up here, right, to actually, compare in real life, which is the sad part, because, if a zombie apocalypse hit, I mean, we'd most likely all be dead. Although the zombies probably wouldn't come up this far because it would be cold as shit and they'd be freezing their nuts off, so to speak. All jokes aside, though, we definitely need to get some sort of gun law up here in Canada that is a little better than what we have now, right? That's just my personal opinion, but we're not going to get into that. We're going to stay here with the topic at hand. As Strand basically goes for his rifle, wrapped up in some cloth inside that chest. He actually finds it. Whether or not he finds any ammo or magazines or anything like that, we don't know. I wonder if Daniel did something with them. We definitely, that definitely could be a thing. But we've seen him sort of like running up there in a panic and, rushing for it and stuff like that. So that could lead me to believe that, he initially gets away from that family, maybe pulling a gun on the group or, something like that. And that will just either, teach them a lesson to not just trust everyone. And it'll just, it'll further Strand's idea of, anybody could take this boat or any of us, kill us or take anything they want at any given moment in time. And we need to keep this boat just us, just our group, just me and your family, right? And I totally understand where Strand's coming from. But unfortunately, this group does not quite grasp that yet, right? But Daniel, I think Daniel does, you know what I mean? He sort of likes to be on his own. He even branches himself off from like Madison and Travis and all their family to just him and Ophelia at some points, right? So we actually get to see even some trust issues with, the two groups right there, even though they're so close, right? Now, in this promo, it gets, like I said, really, really intense. We see sort of Nick going off on his own. It does not look good, man. It does not look good at some points, I will tell you that much. We get to see, like, him walking through some sort of a camp, something like that, with a bunch of tents up. Like, we could assume that maybe he obviously gets to land somehow, which he does. Spoiler alert, it's in the sneak peek, so we'll get into that as well. But he's in some sort of a refugee camp, tents set up all over the place. And this camp is about to get fucked up, man. I'll tell you that much, because he's walking through, looking all around at nighttime, and we actually get to see a really, really, really short clip of somebody walking. We only see the leg, but the leg actually has a chunk taken out of it, like actual, bitten. You know what I mean? So whoever it is, whether or not it's a zombie yet, or, he's going to turn, we still don't know. We have no idea. But we can assume that, said shit will hit the fan very, very shortly. So, anyway, that's that. That's the promo pretty much, right? So we actually get to see, that happening, right? In a lot of places here in this sneak peek, or in this promo rather, we get to see said shit hitting the fan. And, on the boat, whether it's the Abigail, whether it's, whatever camp, whatever refugee camp that Nick is in, we just don't know at this point, right? There's only little tiny bits that we can take from this. And I think it's going to be a really intense episode. It's called Blood in the Streets, for Christ's sakes. You know what I mean? So this family that gets on board, I don't think is going to be any good news. And like I said, that's going to be very, very interesting for us to finally see, our group of survivors at this point, go head on head, or, head to head, whatever you want to say, with another group of survivors or, scavengers, whatever you guys want to call them, right? We don't know. Are these people good that just made a bad decision? Are they good that, was forced to make a bad decision because of Strand maybe threatening them? Or are they just straight up savages? You know what I mean? Just coming onto the boat, just, playing like they're nice people, and then, pull a gun on them all, just take the boat for themselves. Which, honestly, you know what I mean? It's not a bad idea. Safety in numbers, I'm all for that. But at the same time, I understand that you got to do what you got to do, right? We got to look at it from their perspective and not the survivors that we're used to right now. So take a minute and look at it from this other family's perspective and, think that it wouldn't be a good idea, when they're holding on to their life on a little tiny raft in the middle of the ocean, that wouldn't be a good idea to try to get on in that boat and, take that boat for your own, right? I do get it, right? I honestly do. But whether or not, I wonder what's going to happen. We really don't know. But those are definitely some predictions. It says Strand branches off and his past begins to emerge. So that actually is an exciting line that we actually get to maybe finally see, something happening with Strand and Strand's character. We know that he has ulterior motives in terms of, trying to get to wherever he needs to get to find his associate and get there and everything like that. And I think that we're finally going to be able to see that and finally understand the reasoning behind it. And I think that's going to be very, very cool. So I hope that happens this episode. I think it's going to be really cool to see some more backstory of Strand and, what his actual ulterior motives are. Like, what's he actually trying to do? It could be something as innocent as just, trying to find his own family. Or, it could be something pretty sadistic. I'm not going to say anything, but it definitely could. The possibilities are endless at this point. Nick searches for an associate of Strand's. So this sort of leads me to believe that Strand maybe, asks Nick to do him a favor. Maybe he's stuck on the boat. Maybe he's stuck helping defend the boat or something like that, trying to get the enemies off of it or, anything like that. Maybe he actually has some friends on the outside that he wants to go see, like, normally, but maybe he's, trapped. Maybe he's taken hostage or something, and Nick maybe sort of gets that signal, and maybe Nick tries to, go off on his own for help, so to speak. We really don't know, you know what I mean? But in this sneak peek, we actually get to see Nick, like, swimming naked, swimming ashore from the ocean. He's actually coming onto some sort of land. It's not an abandoned island like we had before. This is legit land with, like, helicopters and boats in the water and everything like that. It looks hectic. I will 100% tell you that. It looks hectic. And it looks really, really cool. Like I said, helicopters flying overhead, and we get to see him come up on this beach. He swam naked and had, like, his clothes in, like, a little, a bag sort of behind him to keep them dry. Very, very smart on his end. Very, very smart, because you got to keep your clothes dry, man. That's number one rule of survival. You know what I mean? If you're planning to go in the water, you definitely have to have your clothes dry. You don't want to freeze to death on land or anything like that. Very, very brilliant idea on part of Nick's. So I'm glad they're finally starting to see, these survival tactics and stuff like that. That makes me, pretty happy that they're finally, starting to really, dig in to the survival aspect of it. And I like that a lot. So it says he searches for an associate of Strand's. So I think that they might actually, reach Baja, or like I said, he might take something like a little raft or something and go off on his own and try to get some help. Maybe this associate of Strand's, not Stan, is actually not so bad after all. Maybe it's his friend. Maybe he has a couple friends with him. Maybe he has some guns, stuff like that. We really don't know. Maybe this could be the key to actually saving their group's life. And, Nick might be actually doing it. That's just a prediction. That's what this video is predictions. Whether or not any of it will come true, we'll just have to wait until Sunday. But some of those predictions, definitely very well could be accurate. Although you know what I mean? I could be far from the truth. We really don't know at this point. So hopefully you guys will be tuning in to this week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead. I sure as hell will be. Very, very excited for it. It looks amazing. Some of the photos here, we have Nick covered in blood again. Like, he's going to be using his little tactic that he learned in the last episode to sort of mask his scent from his walkers and, appear as one of them. So it looks like we're starting to see, Nick develop more and more as a survivor, carrying his clothes in that bag to keep them dry, and using the whole blood technique to mask himself from the walkers. And I think that's going to be very, very cool to finally see. Maybe it's a showcase of Nick episode. Let's hope. You know what I mean? Nick is a very interesting character. And to see more of him, in an episode, sort of alone. It's not alone, obviously, because we get to see in the promo we have other people as well, like Travis, Strand, Madison, Daniel, Alicia, everybody like that. They're panicking. It looks like Madison and Alicia are panicking, wondering where Nicholas went. So whether or not we'll find out. I sure as hell think we will, but I don't know whether or not Nick will be back in time, for the end of the episode to tell his family where he's been. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys will be tuning in this Sunday on AMC. Obviously, this Sunday is May 1st. Very, very excited for the episode. It's Season 2, Episode 4, entitled Blood in the Streets. Tune in, everybody, and then tune back in on Monday for my episode review video of this week's upcoming episode of Fear the Walking Dead. And other than that, if you guys check out some other videos of mine, gaming videos, everything like that, I posted quite a few of them in the last, few days. I do daily uploads for those of you that don't know, maybe that just watch my Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead videos. Check out my other stuff, man. I strongly urge you to. I work hard on my channel, and it would be much appreciated if you guys would, show some support on those videos as well as you do on these videos. But if you don't, no harm done. No harm done at all. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now, everybody.